The Olympics, or Olympic Games, are an international sporting event held every 4 years, bringing together athletes from all around the globe to compete in a wide variety of disciplines. Without a doubt, it is the biggest general sports event that exists, which is why athletes give their absolute all in the competition. Because it is a grand event broadcast worldwide, many moments end up making history, whether they are super cool or even, shall we say, a bit embarrassing. And that is exactly what we are going to see here today. The French athlete Anthony Amarati was eliminated from the pole vault competition at the Olympics in Paris in 2024 for a very unusual reason. The young man, 21 years old, was hindered in the contest by an unusual detail. He brushed against and knocked down the equipment with his own genitalia. Amarati reached a good height with his vault. However, as he rotated his body, he ended up touching the crossbar, also known as the bar that the athlete must clear, with his genital area. The bar fell, and the Frenchman was disqualified. Images of his performance went viral on the internet and quickly became a meme. Even though he did not secure a medal in the competition, the French athlete is making a splash on social media. So far, the athlete has not commented on his elimination or the whole controversy surrounding it. The team he competes for issued a statement praising him for his performance, but they also have not spoken about the fuss. The legendary sprinter Usain Bolt was involved in a very peculiar scene while celebrating yet another victory in a race. He had won the event with ease, something quite common, and decided to take a victory lap around the stadium to celebrate with the crowd. At that very moment, a cameraman riding a two-wheeled electric cart approached him to capture the moment. Without noticing a nearby obstacle, the cameraman lost control of his cart, which veered toward Bolt, hitting and knocking him to the ground along with the cameraman.
Invece è il primo degli umani.
Tanto vediamo lo scalzo. Ah, mamma mia!
No, questa poi no.
Pazzesco.
Bolt was knocked down, but he quickly got up laughing and walked away with a slight limp. Despite the scare and the fall, he was all right. The cameraman, on the other hand, remained on the ground and needed help from others to stand up. His expression showed utter disbelief as he realized what he had just done. The Spanish athlete Laura Garcia Caro was about 5 meters from the finish line when she began to celebrate her bronze medal. But she was overtaken by the Ukrainian Lyudmila Olyanovska. This defeat generated a huge buzz and became a meme. In the footage, you can see Garcia Caro carrying a Spanish flag, raising her arms, looking at the cameras and smiling. The Ukrainian athlete took advantage of her rival's slip-up and pushed forward. Garcia Caro's expression as she realized she was being overtaken was one of total shock and despair. According to information, the Spanish Athletics Federation filed a complaint alleging that the Ukrainian athlete ran in the final stretch, not following all the race-walking techniques. The complaint was not accepted. From what it looks like, the Spanish athlete actually slowed down to celebrate, and by the time she saw her opponent passing her, it was too late to recover. During a table tennis match, a competitor became very irritated after making a mistake and decided to take out her frustration on her shorts. That is right, you did not misunderstand. To show her dissatisfaction, she yanked her shorts upward, creating a scene that was both quite funny and embarrassing. After all, by doing that, she definitely revealed far more than she intended to, and this was during a worldwide broadcast. Surely, after watching the replay at home with a cool head, she must have regretted it. But there was no going back, and that moment went viral all over the internet. It lasted only 46 seconds for the Italian boxer Angela Carini at the Olympics in Paris in 2024. In the first round of the women's boxing category up to 66 kilograms, she abandoned the fight against the Algerian Imani Khelif, one of the boxers who had previously failed gender tests but was authorized by the International Olympic Committee to compete in the Games. Despite the controversy, Carini assured that quitting had nothing to do with the situation involving her opponent. The athlete explained that she gave up due to intense pain in her nose. With about 30 seconds of fighting, she went to her corner to adjust her headgear and soon after threw in the towel, which in boxing means giving up the match. At the 2023 World Boxing Championship in New Delhi, in India, Imani Khalif was disqualified by the International Boxing Association, whose president, Igor Kremlev, stated that DNA tests indicated the presence of XY chromosomes, which are male, and therefore excluded her from sporting events. The case stirred up a huge debate. The athlete's family claims that Khalif was indeed born a woman, and her father even presented a birth certificate to prove it. The internet also got divided, with many accusing her and others defending her. The triathlon at the Olympics in Paris drew attention after several athletes felt unwell at the end of the race. Upon crossing the finish line, some competitors, such as Canada's Tyler Mislawchuk, who placed 9th, ended up lying on the ground and vomiting. Another triathlete who became ill was Hayden Wilde from New Zealand, who won a silver medal and fainted right after crossing the finish line. It is worth remembering that the triathlon had been postponed due to the poor water quality of the Seine River, where the presence of the Escherichia coli bacteria was detected. It did not take long for the athlete's illness to be linked to the water quality, causing a huge stir. Even with the race postponed and talk of possibly excluding the event from the Olympics, the contest went on, and as we saw, several athletes felt sick. It was never confirmed whether their discomfort was actually caused by the water quality, but there are more than enough theories floating around. A non-functioning phone provided by a sponsor caused frustration and laughter among Olympic champions at the 2024 Paris Olympics. A video of the incident shows a group of athletes lining up for a selfie, but at the crucial moment, the phone froze, making it impossible to snap the photo. The athletes' spontaneous reaction, alternating between laughter and surprise, turned this moment into a viral hit on social networks. They even tried to unfreeze the device for a few moments, but eventually gave up and handed it back to an event staff member. The viralization of the video led to a flood of funny and supportive comments. People online shared similar experiences with their own devices, creating a sense of community around this technical glitch. During the springboard diving event, an Australian competitor was getting ready to dive when she apparently miscalculated her jump and, as a result, made a major blunder. In the footage, we can see her gaining momentum on the board, but at the moment of takeoff, she simply plunged into the water like any regular person would, without executing any flips or twists as expected. The bizarre scene shocked the stadium, the broadcast, and even her coach, who looked on in total amazement at his athlete's dive. As she pushed off the springboard, it seems that she projected herself incorrectly toward the water and completely lost her balance, leaving her no choice but to drop into the water any old way, unable to perform her planned routine. The setter of the Brazilian national volleyball team, representing Brazil, displayed impressive footwork and tricked the opponents during a volleyball match. While competing for a point, the ball seemed lost, and the opposing team turned their backs and started to celebrate. However, the Brazilian setter managed to use her foot, bringing the ball back into play, and her team won the point in a truly unexpected scene. The opponents simply did not see the Brazilian player's recovery and handed over the point for free. When they noticed the referee awarding the point to the other side, the opponents were left utterly confused, since they believed the play was already over. But the rule allows the ball to be kicked, so the point was rightfully validated. The French athlete Johan Diniz did not make it onto the podium at the Olympics held in Rio, in Brazil, in 2016, as he had hoped, but he became one of the protagonists of the 50-kilometer race walk event with a powerful example of persistence and perseverance. A world record holder since 2014, he began feeling ill during the race and ended up defecating during the competition at about the 9th kilometer. The athlete was in the lead when the first symptoms appeared. Initially, he did not seem bothered and, while still walking, took care of his bodily needs and continued on. Later, Diniz stopped, complaining of abdominal pain, and decided to press on anyway. With about 2 hours and 45 minutes of racing, shortly before the 40th kilometer, he collapsed, exhausted, onto the asphalt and required assistance. Supported by his team, he only asked for ice and water, refreshed himself, and once again pushed forward, a true example of grit and courage. Crossing the finish line became a huge challenge, and he managed it. Despite all the setbacks, he finished in 8th place. That result was a personal victory for the French athlete, who had not been able to complete the 50 kilometers in previous Olympics. With 3 gold medals and 6 podium finishes in Olympic Games, the British rider Charlotte Dujardin, a star in the dressage discipline of equestrian, decided to withdraw from the 2024 Olympics right before the start of the competition. In an official statement, Dujardin acknowledged that she gave up on going for her 4th Olympic title after a video showing her hitting a horse went viral online. According to the British athlete, the incident took place 4 years earlier. Without giving more details, the multi-medal winner, who had been considered to carry the British flag at the Paris Games, admitted her mistake, said her attitude was unjustifiable, and thus stepped away from the competition.
This is so hard.
She spoke out, saying that the incident was completely out of character and did not reflect her true way of training horses or students. She also emphasized feeling deeply ashamed and ended by asking for forgiveness. And once again, in a diving event, a competitor who was preparing for the long-awaited moment lost her balance and fell into the pool in a completely awkward manner. In the video, it is possible to see her running toward the platform, seemingly slipping and losing her balance at the edge, causing her body to be hurled toward the water. All she could do was attempt to protect herself so as not to hit the water flat on her stomach. The dive, which should theoretically have been graceful and beautiful, turned out completely crooked and uncontrolled, obviously disappointing everyone watching, including the judges, who declared it to be one of the worst dives they had ever witnessed. During a tennis match, one of the ball boys collecting balls for the athlete Nicolas Almagro starred in a moment that was, let's say, quite amusing. At a certain point in the match, after gathering a few balls in one part of the court, he ran back to his position. However, in doing so, he lost his balance and bumped his head against the advertising board at the back of the court. Right after the impact, he got up quickly and returned to his spot. The noise made the tennis player glance back, but he did not see the fall. The ball boy was so fast to get up and return that the player did not even have time to catch him in the act. Right afterward, the ball boy looked around with an embarrassed little grin, knowing full well that it would go viral. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.